Okay folks, I am sifting wood ash for my garden. I've got a 5-gallon bucket and I've just got an old dirt compost screen. I'm not sure what this is. It's not the smallest one, and I've had it for years and I've kind of abused it a little bit. But I've done this for several years for my garden supplement, and I'm just taking cold wood ash, folks, that I took from the stove end of last week, and I'm just going to sift it. Just like you would flour. And that's all you've got left. Oh, I can do a little bit more than that. And you're just going to end up with coal, right? Coals. And I'll sift again. Alright, so there you have that. I'm going to sift some more. So let me show you. Hopefully you can see this. That's all sifted wood ash, folks. That's anything from beech to maple to birch, popple. And I put this when I transplant my tomato plants. I'll take probably a quarter to a third a cup and I'll put that in a hole. And I will mix it with my dirt and I'll add a little Epsom salt and a little bit of chicken compost. And I grow pretty good tomato plants, folks, with a lot of sweet, sweet tomatoes. Because this morning I dug my potato bed, a new potato bed, right? And there's about 2 inches of topsoil there, and the rest is clay. So what I need to do is dig down a little bit, add some sawdust, some bone meal, some sifted ash, and blood meal. I don't know if I said bone meal, but I meant blood meal. Probably both would work just as well. And some chemical fertilizer. Okay, I don't want to use my chicken manure because it'll cause the potatoes to become scabby. So that's about the only thing I use chemical fertilizer on here. So basically, wood ash is a good substitute for potash, right? So that's what I am doing, and I will show you the area that I'm using for potatoes. All right, folks, I am up at my new dug potato bed, and I just pasted off, and it's about 17 feet long, and it's just about 3 feet wide. Now, like I said, this has a lot of clay in it, and it was like this, sod. So this is where I got my worms for my fishing. And what I did was I just turned it over. So the grass that was on top is now on the bottom. So if it's supposed to rain, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start amending this soil with that wood ash that I just sifted. Alright, so I'm going to put you on the tripod and I'll show you how much I am putting on for the rain to wash down into the dirt, and then I will let it dry when it dries. And then what I will do is I will pound out the sod, the dirt from the sod, keep all those nutrients that are in that dirt in the ground, and I will take the sod clumps and I will throw them in my compost. So I'll be right back. Okay, now that I finished sprinkling that with wood ash, I have a combination, and if I can find, folks, my recipe for this pre-starter mix, but I do know, maybe you can research it online, but an old man gave this recipe to me years ago, and it is a combination of garden lime, borax, and what's the other one? Epsom salt. Lime, borax, and Epsom salt. And this is a pre-plant conditioner. And I do this to all my garden beds, especially the new ones. Okay, and just sprinkle it on so it looks like we got a little sprinkling of snow. You don't want it too heavy. And you want to do this at least 2 weeks before you plant. Just put this mixture on. Now there is a ratio, folks, of how many ounces per square foot, but I don't go by that. And I've had good luck. That's that. That's the pre-plant mix. And again, I'll wait for that to wash down in. Let those sod clumps dry out, pound out the dirt, put the sod clumps in the compost, leave that good nutritious dirt there. So I sprinkled wood ash, and I have sprinkled a pre-mix solution, powdered solution. And then when it's time to plant the potatoes, because there's clay in there, that should hold the moisture, I am going to plant my sawdust method on top of that clay, and that should be good. And I'll use chemical fertilizer for my potatoes only, right? Because I don't want my potatoes scabby. So this is what I do, folks. I use 10-10-10 fertilizer. I use a combination, and I will look up that recipe for you that I've got written down. The Epsom salt, the borax, and the lime mixture. And then I will side dress with blood meal, and I will side dress with a little bit of fertilizer each time I mound up my potatoes. So again, this is how I plant my potatoes. So potatoes really do need nitrogen, which is where the blood meal comes in, and they really do need potash. So that's what the ash is for. So we will see. Again, like I said, this is very poor soil. There's basically no soil. I'm taking about 2 inches of topsoil and making it into soil with my sawdust to grow potatoes. Folks, it's been 60 years since this whole thing used to be a cornfield. And then it was turned into a cow pasture, and then it was allowed to grow up. And there's been a few harvesting of wood here for firewood. So basically it's a big hot mess where I'm trying to garden. So we're trying to make it into a garden area, right? So this is my method. Now some of you chemists out there say I'm doing it all wrong. And it might be according to some people, because people tend to do things only one different way. I like to experiment, and years ago when I started new ground that was very poor soil, I did this method that I'm showing you here, and I had a beautiful, beautiful first year garden. But I kind of knew what to do. If you're a first-time gardener, you could add too much lime, you could add too much fertilizer, you could add too much ash, you could add too much nitrogen, or you could add not enough of all of that, right? So it's something that you're going to really have to work on, and that is why I stress, if you have never gardened before, you really need to do your research. Find natural resources around you. In case you cannot buy these materials, you can kind of copycat it from what nature has to offer. It's going to be more work. It's not going to be bagged up. It's not going to be, you know, go and buy it. It might take a year for some of these chemicals to mix and set and stir and whatnot. So you got to start now. You got to start now to research about how to make soil, how to amend soil, how to garden, and all of that, right? You got to know your soils, and you got to pay attention to your lighting, how much light it gets, and plant accordingly, right? So it's not as easy as, you know, putting a hole in the ground, plopping a seed and covering up and leaving it. It is not that simple. I wish it were that simple, but it is not, folks. So here we go. This is my very simple method of starting a new area in this area of my garden. As you can see from either side, probably, it was just cleared, and that was it. You know, there's a couple of bushes that I have to trim back, but this was all chopping at one point, folks, and I cleared all this manually. So it's been a long work in progress. It's been 7 years for me to even get over to this part of the garden. But we're going to make it good. We're going to make the soil great again. And we're going to get produce out of this one way or the other, if I have anything to say about it. Okay, folks.